At the end of 2004, an event that is unseen with the naked eye, but is unparalleled in its consequences, occurs in the depth of the Indian Ocean. A 1,000-mile rocky mass of the lithosphere ruptured in the subduction zone, where the Indian plate slides under the overriding Burma plate. The rupture propagated at a speed of 6,260 miles per hour, 10 times the speed of sound. It starts near the coast of Aceh, Indonesia, and proceeds northwesterly, over about 100 seconds. A short pause, and then another 100 seconds of propagation on the north, towards the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. This causes an enormous displacement of mass, as the Indian plate went deeper beneath the Burma plate, until the temperature and pressure led to the formation of magma, which is looking for the exit. This results in an underwater earthquakes with a Richter scale magnitude of 9+, and the rise of the seafloor by several meters, causing 30 cubic miles of water to be displaced in all directions from the impact zone. Meanwhile, locals and tourists in Indonesia, Sri Lanka and Thailand are sleeping peacefully, completely unaware of what just happened. Well, the earthquake is obviously an unpleasant thing, but this time it happened in the ocean. The water is known for effective consumption of mechanical energy, and the rise of the seafloor was only about several meters. That barely sounds like a precursor for a massive tragedy. Or it does. In fact, the earthquake's energy was estimated to be about 1,500 times greater than the Fat Man bomb dropped on Hiroshima. This significant displacement of mass and release of energy even slightly altered the Earth's rotation, shortening the length of the day. The earthquake caused a massive amount of water to be displaced at speeds up to 600 miles per hour. Tsunamis in the ocean are barely noticeable, but as they approach the coast, their destructive nature becomes evident. The waves slow down to tens of miles per hour, but the amount of water they contain is too high to be quickly redistributed in the shallow seashore, transforming the barely noticeable waves into walls of water up to 170 feet in height. These hidden monsters are now heading towards the coast of Indonesia, where people were unaware of the impending danger. There is no tsunami warning system in the Indian Ocean, as its detection is extremely complicated, since the waves had little height and no distinct signature while still in the ocean. To make matters worse, a rare natural phenomenon known as the disappearing sea, where the sea temporarily recedes from the coast prior to the tsunami strike, occurs just minutes before the impact. This attracts thousands of people to the shore, who are amazed by the 1.6-mile stretch of exposed beach covered with stranded fish. The capital of Indonesia's Aceh province, Banda Aceh, is the first and hardest hit by the disaster. Located just 100 miles from the earthquake's epicenter, it struck just 20 minutes after the quake. As locals are collecting stranded fish and exploring the seabed, they witness the first wave rising and reaching the foundations of the buildings. Moments later, two massive black waves, described then as black giants, mountains, and walls of water, appeared to ravage the city. The residential area, located 2 miles inland and consisting mostly of 1 to 3-story buildings, is completely wiped out by 60 feet high waves. The waves penetrate 8 miles inland, mercilessly destroying everything in its path. Some local cities experience waves up to 170 feet, equivalent to the height of the Statue of Liberty in New York. By 8:30 a.m., just 10 minutes after the first wave hit, the coastline within a 2-kilometer band is nearly devoid of buildings. The inner districts are fully flooded up to the second floor, with a lot of debris circulating in water. Some settlements in the area are fully destroyed, with virtually no constructions survive the strike of nature. The death toll is immense. But being struck less than half an hour after initial earthquake, Indonesian services spread emergency to their neighbors, to Sri Lanka, India and Thailand, giving them precious time for the seashore evacuation. At this point I thought that this story cannot get any worse. But then I looked at Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka authorities were advised about the earthquake and tsunamis, but they decided that there was no actual threat, that the waves wouldn't reach the islands. Needless to say, the waves did. At approximately 9:30 am, a tsunami up to 40 feet hit the eastern coast of Sri Lanka, quickly spreading across the coastline, ravaging the south and southwest coasts. The disappearing sea phenomenon attracted many locals and tourists who were caught off guard and trapped by the raging waters with no chance to survive. In just a few minutes, tsunami destroyed over 90,000 buildings and caused over 30,000 fatalities along the coast. Meanwhile, a regular passenger express operating between Maranda and Matara is neither deferred nor diverted. Near the village of Piralia, it encounters the first consequences of the tsunami. The coast was just hit by the first relatively low wave, and the area is submerged in muddy yellowish water. As the water surged around the rails, the train came to a full stop. The locals, frightened by the first signs of inundation and the increasing water level, rushed to the express. Believing it is safe on the roof of the train, they are climbing on top of the carriages. Some try to hide behind the train, frantically hoping it would shield them, but it's all in vain. Just 10 minutes later, a secondary wave smashed the train, throwing it off the rails and literally chewing and spitting out the carriages. Some carriages were so packed with people that they turned into deadly traps, impossible to escape as they filled with water. As multiple waves washed over the wreckage back and forth, most of the passengers drowned. Those on top of the train are thrown off and mostly drowned or crushed by debris. This single incident claimed the lives of 1,700 people, diverting regular express to the largest train catastrophe in history. At the same time, Thailand, which is full of tourists who had come to celebrate Christmas and New Year, issued no warnings and took no action to evacuate the coastline. Most of the tourists are caught off guard in the early morning. In Phuket province, which is the most popular destination among Americans and Europeans, the tsunami first arrives as a small flood. Shortly after, the water receded, only to return minutes later as a giant 20-feet wall of water hitting the coast. Multiple luxury resorts are ravaged and virtually wiped off the face of the earth, with at least 250 people perished directly from the tsunami. A series of villages, mostly tourist-oriented, known as Hao Lak, are experiencing the largest tsunami waves of up to 65 feet in height. Several tsunami waves would take the lives of 5,000 people in just a matter of minutes. In the end of the day, the earthquake and subsequent tsunamis affected 15 countries, including distant ones such as Seychelles, Madagascar, and South Africa. The total energy of the tsunami waves was equivalent to about 5 megatons of TNT. To put this into perspective, the cumulative energy of all the explosives used during World War II was just slightly above 2 megatons. The extensive damage to infrastructure and destruction of entire regions made it difficult to estimate the full economic impact. But the most tragic loss was the staggering amount of almost 250,000 victims, with over half of them in Indonesia. Along with 2 million people involuntarily displaced across the region, it makes this sinister new tragedy one of the deadliest natural disasters in modern history, to serve as a constant reminder of how small we are in the face of nature's wrath.
You are watching the Northern Philosopher Project, documentaries and video essays on sensitive and controversial topics. The Northern Philosopher is a place where tragic and sinister events meet dark personalities to give birth to narratives that shape our reality.
If you dare to dive into the darkest corners of our past, feel free to join me.
To support the project, please hit the like button and consider sharing this video through your social media. Don't forget to subscribe the channel and hit notification bell to stay updated. And if you find that this content worth a penny, you may support the Northern Philosopher via Patreon, where you will gain an early access to uncensored versions of videos and many other benefits.
Thank you for your precious time. I hug you all. Sincerely yours, the Northern Philosopher.